Welcome to Too Old, Too New, the music discovery podcast that brings you something old, something new, something Nate, something Bruce. I'm Nate Runkle, host of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast, and with me, as always, is my good friend Bruce Warren. The premise of this show is simple. Each week, we bring you two songs apiece. One old song that, nope, I got it wrong. One new song that's been metaphorically spinning our turntable platters, and one old song that we still believe absolutely matters. Can't believe I messed that up. It's too choice to screw up there. How we doing, sir?
Doing great, Nate. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, man. The weather turned around. It's beautiful. It's summer, and we're looking. The Philly Music Fest we were just kind of talking about just announced their lineup, and I'm excited for everything about that.
Yeah, it's a great music festival, and some great names were announced. Some incredible Philly bands. It's all Philly bands every year. And we're real psyched. Sheer Mag, Amos Lee.
Yes.
There's so many. There's 7 nights of music. 7 nights of music, all independent venues. The Philly PMF is a nonprofit, and all the money they raise after they pay for the bands, etc., goes to all these nonprofit music educational organizations in Philly. And we're such huge advocates of the Philly music scene. It's sort of like. It's our. I don't even know what the analogy is. I want to say it's our kind of Woodstock, but it's not Woodstock.
No,
you know what I mean?
It feels like homecoming almost.
It's a homecoming for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I love it so much, and I'm super excited for that. And tickets go on sale this Friday. If anybody's interested, check out the Philly Music Fest website for details. And let's get into some music here. I'll let you go first. Which you want to do first, new or old?
Let's go new. Let's go new. It's been 7 years since we last heard from this band. I'm talking about the band from Cardiff, Wales, Los Campesinos, with an exclamation point. Their new record, it's coming out soon. I need to be better prepared here. Although I'm prepared to say it's their first album in 7 years, which is really exciting. They've got 2 new songs from the record. The album's called All Hell. And what I love about this new song is that it is slow to take off, but once it reaches maximum cruising altitude, it fucking slams. And they're a great band, and let's have a little taste of it right now. Yeah, that guitar solo kind of really lets that song take off. I've always wished this band had more of a popular following here in the United States. Hopefully this will get them there. Or an increased following. That's my point. I love the fact that these guys started out as sort of like a little on the twee pop side of things.
Yeah.
But they've really developed into a mature. And there's nothing wrong with twee pop. It's cool. But they've really matured in their sound. And these 2 new songs I think are the best songs that they've recorded. Since they started, quite honestly. So there you go, new Los Campesinos with an exclamation point. That's important.
Yes, definitely.
So what'd you think?
Dude, I love it. Like the first time I heard it, the immediate thought I had was, this is going to be incredible live. That's going to be such an incredible moment in whatever set they put together. Like you said, like anything that builds, and I think we talked about it, on a previous episode, anything that builds needs to have a payoff to me. And this just keeps paying off. Like it keeps building, and you think you're at a point where it's like, all right, we're at a point. And then they take it up to a next level. And there's like 3 or 4 builds within this song that just keeps going, and I absolutely love this track.
Yeah, songwriting is really hard. I'm not a musician, but really great songwriting is really challenging, I think, because to your point, there's how many builds do you actually need? Sometimes you can overbuild, as we well know. Sometimes you underbuild, and that works. But this just, again, it goes up the stairway, so nicely, and it progresses so nicely. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from the record. Hope you guys dug that one. And what do you got?
Mine is a choice by a artist named the band's called Bathtub Cig. And the artist who the main driver behind it is an artist named Hillary James. She's a cello player. And the way that this came onto my radar is back in March, I think it was. I went to see Matt Pond, PA, and Alexa Rose at Johnny Brenda's. And Bathtub Cig was the Hillary was the opener, and also plays cello was playing cello in Matt's touring band. And they all three of them performed this song together, kind of to close out her set. And the second I heard it, the harmonies on the chorus just like grabbed me. And you mentioned twee pop. I'm usually not a twee pop guy, but this is pure twee pop, and it just fills me with pure joy. And let me hit a little bit of it right now. This is Red Pine by Bathtub Cig. So that's Red Pine by Bathtub Cig. There's like I think I've mentioned it before, but like there's such a '90s sound to it, and that's just something that, like, you know, I'm a creature of habit, and if you have, like, you know, some crunchy kind of clean guitars, and a good pop sensibility, you got me hooked. That's
a great song. That's a great song. You know what it reminds me of? Admittedly, I hadn't listened to this song before you just played it. And the twee pop thing, you know, back in the late 80s, I was like really into this band called Velocity Girl.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them. There was a label based in DC, late 80s. They were called Slumberland Records. And they put out music by bands like Velocity Girl and Lilies, and I think there was a band called 14 Ice Bears that I was like huge fan of, but like minimalist, very stripped down, charismatic, charming, cuddly indie pop. And it was simplistic, but it wasn't simple. And I was so into that label, and pretty much anything any of those bands touched, that this song right here totally reminds me of that era of, like, you know, indie pop, bubblegumish, but not like sweet and saccharine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you dig this stuff, I would like definitely look for some old Slumberland records. Heavenly Records is another label that put out so many great sides by bands that sort of worked in this continuum of music. But I'm digging that. Bathtub Cig, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Big fan.
Definitely check it out.
One of the big things that came up today is Apple Music has released the final end of their top 100 best albums. I want to use their terminology specifically because I got a bone to pick with it. But the 100 best albums list, and it's I don't want to say it's polarizing, but there's some choices in here. What did you think of their lineup here?
Yeah, overall, I thought, you know, there were the right amount, and not necessarily the right ones, but there was some consensus. You know, the consensus albums were in there. It's always eager. You know, it's easy to challenge, and I guess I'll bring it up. Rolling Stones. You know, the one record by the Stones that's on the list was Exile. Is it the best Rolling Stones record? I think fans of Let It Bleed would probably argue pretty intensely about that. But, you know, it's all informed by someone's taste, and taste is a frame of reference, and you just have to kind of remember that, and taste is very subjective. Overall, I thought it was good. I thought it suffered a little bit from, like, you know, recency bias.
Yes.
And that's okay too on a certain level. I get it. But also, you started off by saying something like their terminology. So I would question the name of it, right? But also, it's by who? Like,
yes.
Who? I can't find anybody on the Apple Music website who voted for it. I did watch the final top 10. It was Maggie Rogers and Ebro and Zayn. And you know, Mr. Chic, Mr. Chic was part of the panel that revealed the top 10, and that I thought was kind of it was a very interesting conversation, you know.
Yeah.
So overall, though, not going to argue much. So pretty okay. And you, what'd you think?
So two of your points there. One. So the votes, I need to know who had a vote.
Exactly.
The only people I've found that I know for sure had a vote were Pharrell Williams, J Balvin, Maren Morris, and Charlie XCX. All right.
Okay.
Which is awesome. Like but okay. I am a big critic of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. I think that they've set their own limitations that makes them, I don't want to say illegitimate, but it kind of poisons the importance of the word Hall of Fame to me. All right. But one of the things they do that I think is very important is that they have a 25-year span where they won't pick anything from in that time. Okay. And 20% of 20% of the songs that appear on this top 100 are from 2010 to now. All right. And I refuse to accept that that percentage of of music is better than everything that has been recorded before it. All right. Which I get it. These are just votes, and it shouldn't be taken as law that this is the breakdown. But to your second point, all right, only 5 acts had multiple albums, and the most was 2, and they were all, it was Stevie Wonder with Inner Visions and Songs in the Key of Life, Radiohead with OK Computer and Kid A, Beyonce with Beyonce and Lemonade, the Beatles with Abbey Road and Revolver, and Prince with Sign of the Times and Purple Rain. All right. And that right there, like, first of all, those albums are all beyond brilliant, and I wouldn't argue any of them, though I would actually flip Beyonce and Lemonade. But that's just a personal preference thing. But that's just so bizarre to me to think of how many artists that are in here deserve to have more than just one of their albums represented. And then there's albums on here that like aren't even the artist's best album. Like Take Care by Drake. That's not even his best album. How is that? And I think it came in.
Whoa, hold it. Wait, we're gonna have to have an argument right now. All right, okay, let's go a little deep on Drake. So, what's his best album?
The very
in your opinion,
the very first So Far Gone to me is pinnacle Drake. Like it's just I think a perfect record. And then I would even go as far as to say, what is it? Nothing Was Ever the Same. Would be my number 2.
Okay.
And that's mostly just because like Take Care has bangers on it and has some of his best work on it. But I just, as an album, there's a lot of skippers in there that I just don't really like. Marvin's Room did not age well to me.
Come on. What are you on crack? What's going on? No,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's just.
I do know what you're saying, and you're right, and I'm right. And that's the beauty of being a music fan, right? Like, you know, I would argue that, you know, Take Care is one of the greatest rap records of probably at least top 5 of the last 20 years, maybe. Am I doing my math right? When did it come out? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's right.
But therein lies the challenge, Zeppelin, what was Zeppelin 2, right?
2,
right,
yes.
Was on it. Zeppelin fans, what are they going to say?
Right.
You know?
Right.
I thought for sure, I knew the Beatles were going to have another record in there. I thought for sure it was going to be Sgt. Pepper.
Didn't even make the list.
Didn't even make the
insane.
Freaking list. Okay.
And I'm a Sgt. Pepper hater. Not a hater, but like I always think that it's overvalued. Like I think Revolver is more important than Sgt. Pepper. But it's crazy to me that it didn't even make the top 100. The other thing that's pretty crazy to me is I'm a big fan. You talk about Drake. I got to come in with Kendrick. To me, I think To Pimp a Butterfly is one of the most important albums of the past 50 years. All right.
Totally.
And
totally
also
agree.
Not even on the list. So
totally
like,
agree.
I don't know what we're doing there. The one other thing that I will mention about this that absolutely confuses me is that the 1 year with the most amount of albums is 1994. And I only say that because, like, I always like to think that the music from the early to mid 90s is the greatest music that was ever recorded. And now I have proof to back that up.
Well, I think I'm going to talk about Kendrick for a second because I totally agree with that. I thought for sure they were going to put To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City in the top 10.
Yeah, I did
too. He's like the and I'm a huge Radiohead fan, huge Radiohead fan. But I'm like 2 Radiohead albums and not 2 Kendrick records. I mean, come on, I would have definitely included OK Computer, but I would have subbed out To Pimp a Butterfly, one of those Radiohead albums. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So hey, talk about 94 though. Yeah, didn't Jeff Buckley put Grace out in 94?
He did.
Yeah.
And also not only like I don't know, like I've tried very hard to not let lists upset me, especially knowing how voting works. Like, I kind of joked with you about this earlier today, but you run a countdown at XPN every year.
Yeah, every year.
And I thought this was the best countdown you did, 885 greatest songs by women. And that's why I mentioned terminology, because like greatest to me, and one of the things that I thought you guys did really well was you kept saying when you vote, just pick your favorites. Don't try to be the person who's picking what you think should be the best, right? You pick your favorites. And I thought because of that, that list was incredibly well put together, with the exception of Be My Baby being all the way as high as 142, not even cracking the top 100 or the top 10 where it should have been. But
exactly.
I digress.
Exactly. Well, listen, you mentioned 1994, but all I can say is I'm really glad that Bush's 16 Stone from 1994 did not make the list. Because that would have. I got to tip my hat to Apple. The one thing they did say was it was not based on streaming, and it was all pretty much editorial opinion. And I love that they, kind of stepped into it. And I don't really, lists are lists. Again, taste is very subjective. But it was cool that they sort of activated conversation around this. As a music fan, I love stuff like that.
And for the listeners, because we haven't mentioned it, the number one album of all time is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which was amazing to see come in first. And actually, hip hop very well represented in this countdown. As a matter of fact, I think as the last time I checked, they did update with the last 10, but I think hip hop had the most genre representation in the countdown completely.
Yeah.
So it's pretty stellar.
Yeah. No Ready to Die though. No Ready to Die. All right. And so let me just add two more things.
Yeah.
Okay. They should have left out the jazz. The jazz was pandering. You know, jazz was actually three more things. Jazz, pandering. I get it. Miles, amazing. Forget it. I get it.
Not even his best album, but go ahead.
Okay. There you go. Burial. What the fuck? Like,
no idea.
Come on.
No idea.
Come on. That was just pure pitchfork pandering. And listen, I think Frank Ocean's great. Top 10? No way. I'm sorry. That's all.
I'll let people fire me, put me on a firing range for this. But also, Amy Winehouse at number 5, I think, is the most inflated thing I've ever heard in my life.
At number 8, but I kind of agree that it should have been in the top 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, this is what it's like being a music fan, right? It's like it's beautiful. I love it. So okay, let me write it down. Beyonce was number 10. Nirvana, Nevermind was 9. Amy, Back to Black was 8. Kendrick's Good Kid, Mad City was number 7. Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life was 6. Frank Ocean's Blonde, number 5. Prince's Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain at 4. The Beatles, Abbey Road 3. Michael Jackson, Thriller at 2. And Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of at number 1. So not a bad top 10.
It's not. It's strong, and it spans a wide range of sounds. I do appreciate that. It's very eclectic, and it's not. Yeah. It doesn't have that old Rolling Stone kind of like staleness to it.
Yeah.
I like. Look, it's exciting. But I will argue a list until I'm dead in the ground.
All right. Well, we love lists. Keep them coming.
All right.
Why don't you go first with something old?
Okay. Perfect. So my song I picked because it's on top of mine because I had a conversation with a singer-songwriter Autumn Luz, and she was my guest on Yo That's My Jawn this week, available wherever you get your podcast from. And she mentioned Luscious Jackson, and I brought up the Kostars. The Kostars was a side project by Viv and Jill from Luscious Jackson, and they released one album called Classics with a K, and it was one of my favorite albums of all time. So I wanted to kind of bring that as my old. And the song I picked is called Don't Know Why, and it features Dean and Gene Ween, keeping it local. And let's listen to a little Don't Know Why by the Kostars. So that's Don't Know Why by the Kostars from their album Classics with a K. It came out in 96. It was released on the Beastie Boys label, Grand Royal. And it's just, that album's one of my Desert Island picks. It absolutely is a mood. Like it's a perfect to me, like kind of bedroom. It feels like a bedroom production, even with those strings and kind of being as wide and lush as that sounded. Still feels like very intimate and is just a killer album. Were you familiar with the Kostars?
Sort of, little bit.
Yeah,
sort of, little bit. Which is the beauty of doing this podcast with you, because I get turned on to new music almost every week now. New old music, right?
New old music.
New old music, right. That's exactly right.
And the other thing... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nope, you.
The other thing I will say, and I'll just... because I'm now using this platform as a public plea. I've been trying to get Jill on the podcast for quite some time to talk to me. And at one point, we did have a back and forth, and she was like, I'm better about writing about things than I am talking about them. But the door is always open. And sadly, last year we lost Viv to cancer, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But yeah, if you get a chance, it's on Spotify. It's not on Tidal. It might be on Apple Music. Check out Classics with a K by the Kostars. It's absolutely phenomenal.
All right. Sounds great.
What do you got?
Do that. I got a song by a Chicago-based R&B artist, sadly passed away at a very young age in 1979, 31 years old. I'm talking about the absolutely amazing Minnie Ripperton, who in 75, I think, had a huge hit single called Loving You, and 5-octave vocal range, absolutely incredible singer. In 1970, before the hit, made a record called Come to My Garden, which is an absolutely beautiful soul R&B album. And it has a song on the record, and I'm going to screw the title of this up, but it's called Les Fleurs. I think that's the name of it, F-L-E-U-R-S. And you might recognize this song, not because it was played on the radio, but there's a couple kind of pop culture touch points about Minnie Ripperton to know about. Number one, you know who Maya Rudolph is from Saturday Night Live, right?
Of course. Maya
Rudolph is Minnie's daughter, which I never knew literally until about a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never knew that. So that's something sort of interesting, I think. This song was featured, if you saw Jordan Peele's Us movie, this song is featured in the closing credits. It's also featured, if anybody's seen the new Anne Hathaway movie, I think it's called The Idea of You, it's also featured in this movie. It's not a song that has been sampled a lot, but it should have been. I'm sure it's still open for sampling. And Minnie kind of got her start in a 60s funk soul band called Rotary Connection. And if you're really interested in hearing how far an artist can go musically, vocally, dynamically, start with a little Rotary Connection and then move into the solo work that Minnie did. So let's listen to this. It's Minnie Ripperton, 1970 with Les Fleurs.
Hell yes.
Love that. I love that. I love that song. It's so, God, fucking, it makes me want to run into like the Wells Fargo Center and slam basketballs and shit. I honestly, it's such an uplifting song. I have no idea what it's about, but it's such an uplifting song and sung so beautifully. So there you go, Minnie Ripperton. I gave way too much fucking information about that, about Minnie and that. So I apologize for those of you who tuned out. But I guess you're not there anymore if you just tuned out. But too much information, that's okay. We do it for the love of music.
You mentioned some of the pop culture references. I just heard that it's going to be in speaking of Amy Winehouse, the Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black. There's supposedly a scene set to it as well.
Okay, there you go.
So,
all right. Great music supervisor then. What can I tell you?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm going to tie everything together back to this show. Maya Rudolph, you mentioned, used to be in a band called The Rentals.
What?
Yes, she was in Matt Sharp's band, The Rentals. As a matter of fact, there's a cover of Tegan and Sarah's Not Tonight that is Matt Sharp and Maya Rudolph singing. That's absolutely beautiful. Check that out.
Oh, my goodness. Dude, that is some righteous information there.
Yeah, tying it all together. That's what you get here for free on Too Old, Too New.
All right, man.
All right, guys, as always, you can follow us on the socials. I'm at Yo, That's My Jawn on everything. He's at Some Velvet Blog on everything. You can catch Bruce from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WXPN every Saturday. And you can catch me on Why Not Radio from 5 to 8 every Monday. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And Bruce, thanks for hanging.
You got it. See you soon.